All right, good morning, y'all. It is Thursday, February 12th, 2026, and I'm here today on the O'Leary Peak Trail just north of Sunset Crater National Monument outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. It's a little bit cold today. It's about 37 degrees, got down to 27 last night, camping out in the National Forest just outside of Sunset Crater National Monument here. But one of the only clear days we got this week, and I'm not complaining about some good views. So I'm looking forward to sharing some information about this whole area with you guys, along with some amazing views. So for the O'Leary Peak Trail itself, it's about 10 miles round trip, all on this fire road that you see me walking on right now, with about 2,000 feet of elevation gain that takes you to maximum altitude. I want to say between 9 and 9,500 feet. It's really nothing too crazy, but it is a really nice way to spend your whole day outside, so that's why I chose it. The other thing I want to kind of point out today, before I get into all the really pointed stuff about the volcanoes, is if you look around, I did mention it is February. I am in the Flagstaff area. Normally this entire part of Arizona would be absolutely blanketed with snow this time of year. This has been one of the worst winters for the entire Mountain West region of the United States in a very long time. Everywhere besides really the Sierra Nevada have recorded record low snowpacks. Flagstaff is no exception. Thankfully, the pattern is starting to flip the other way, so in a couple of days, throughout this weekend into next week, we should start seeing some winter weather start coming through. But having been through this area before this time of year, it just is very jarring to look around and see not a single trace of snow. Well, here's our target for today. You can see the fire lookout just peeking out from the top of O'Leary Peak right there. So yeah, we're only about like a half mile in right now, so we got a lot more ahead of us. Thankfully though, like I already said, weather is fantastic. So I want to take a quick second to point this out. You'll notice a lot of these jagged rocks I'm hiking alongside. And what this actually is the lava flow from Sunset Crater itself when it erupted around 1050 AD. So contrary to what a lot of people come to understand about the American West, volcanoes are a very frequent occurrence in various parts of the West for various reasons, depending on where you are. Sometimes it has to do with fault blocking and other types of, phenomena with the crust to allow magma to come up. And other places it has to do with rifting, where the crust spreads apart. And then here in northern Arizona, around Flagstaff, you have the San Francisco Volcanic Field, which is about a 1,300 square mile, 6 million year old volcanic field that is most likely here because of a hot spot underneath the North American plate. So the best way to describe it is that as this hotspot sits here underneath Arizona, North America is moving to the west. You'll see in a lot of the areas around Flagstaff, closer to the west, around the town of Williams, you'll have some of the older volcanoes like Bill William Mountain that age back to 6 million years old. But as the plate has slowly moved to the west over that period of time, you have newer and newer volcanoes that start popping up gradually further and further east until you get to where we are right now, just in the vicinity of Sunset Crater, which is only around 900 years old. And as I said before, this is lava, which is defined by its large, chunky, blocky appearance and the way that it flows. And it's one of the two main types of basaltic lava flows you'll typically find with cinder cones and other types of, low silica volcanoes, like the shield volcanoes you find in Hawaii. So when it cools in its large blocks, which form these absolutely gnarly landscapes that you see behind me. I tell you what, it's about to be time to drop this fleece. It's getting hot. Okay, so here's an even better opportunity to see the lava flow from Sunset Crater I was telling you about. So Sunset Crater itself is right here. And then all of that black expanse that you see down in the valley is going to be the lava flow that came out from that thing when it erupted around 900 to 950 years ago. It's really putting it into perspective from up here of how cataclysmic of an event this had to have been for any of the native people living here at the time. Because, you know, we don't know exactly how long the eruption lasted, but from similar eruptions in La Palma, in Hawaii, in recent history, you can kind of extrapolate that it probably was around a 2-month eruptive event to form a cinder cone as high as Sunset Crater. And it really, really just makes you go into the shoes of anyone who may have been living in the area at the time. To have this completely open valley crack open and for 2 months molten fire erupting from the ground below you. And, you know, it kind of speaks volumes to the San Francisco volcanic field as a whole, that despite the fact that that was 900 years ago, and it is the most recent eruption, this volcanic field is still extremely active. 900 years is really nothing in geologic time, so, you know, it's only a matter of hundreds of years, thousands of years. Your guess is as good as mine until another eruption eventually takes place here, probably in the same vicinity as Sunset Crater, and just continues the volcanic legacy of this landscape. Well, that could be a cool place to camp. Not really. I will happily keep camping in my truck and not the weird lava cave. Now, one of the most beautiful things about the greater Flagstaff area and the San Francisco volcanic field as a whole, in my humble opinion, is the fact that as you look around, each and every landform that you see out in that landscape is going to be a volcanic feature of some shape or form. And each one of them is going to have a slightly different story of how they came into being. So for something like Sunset Crater, right, that's a cinder cone. It's monogenetic, meaning it erupts once, and then once that vent is done forming, it's never going to erupt again. Those are very numerous around here, especially on the eastern side of the San Francisco volcanic field. As the hotspot grows and matures, the lava content changes, which can lead to very drastic changes in eruptive style. Contrasting from that is going to be O'Leary Peak, which is a lava dome. It's going to be formed through much stickier, higher silica content lavas, your rhyolites, your dacites, that form over multiple, eruptive episodes and pile into this absolutely jagged, rocky volcanic feature that I'm hiking up today. Now, on the absolute other end of the scale from cinder cones like Sunset Crater, you have this absolute beauty behind me, which is the former San Francisco Peak. Currently, its skyline is dominated by Humphreys Peak, the tallest point popping out from that mountain, which is the tallest point in Arizona at about 12,633 feet. So, story with this. San Francisco Peak used to be a stratovolcano, like a lot of the other ones we're familiar with over in California, Oregon, and Washington, that formed through, again, compounding volcanic episodes that build a large central cone. It began erupting around 1 million years ago and went dormant around 400,000 years ago. And you might notice that it's kind of missing a well-defined top like most other stratovolcanoes. It looks a lot more similar to Mount St. Helens. And that's no coincidence, right? So, at its absolute peak, when it went dormant 400,000 years ago, it is estimated that San Francisco Peak was probably around 16,000 feet tall, which would have made it the highest peak by a very wide margin in the entire contiguous United States. Now, for reasons that we're still trying to figure out, at some point around the time it went dormant, either due to glaciation or a catastrophic eruption, the entire top 3,500 feet of that volcano slid away here to the northeast in the direction that I'm standing in right now. Now, of course, they kind of took the crown away from it as the tallest peak in the contiguous U.S., but it doesn't mean it's still not high enough to have trees, snow, its own tree line, and absolutely still dominate the skyline up here in northern Arizona. All right, so I stand corrected from earlier. There is indeed snow on the trail. However, probably pretty old. If I had to guess, that fell all the way back in December because it's like ice now. I'll tell you what, after spending the last couple of months at or around sea level, being up above 8,000 feet again is kind of kicking my butt. So here's a good example, some of that higher silica content lava I mentioned earlier, talking about how O'Leary Peak formed. So contrary to what I showed you guys at Sunset Crater's AHA lava flow, remember that's low silica content. It comes out a lot more ooey gooey, I guess for lack of a better term, much more prone to breaking into cinders and finer chunks, whereas the higher silica content will stick together more, have more crystalline structure on the inside, and tends to erupt more as like large blocks of material instead of like oozing lava and individual cinders. Not to say you can't have cinders, because that's what most of the hillside here is covered in, but it's not the predominant feature like it would be on a cinder cone. Speaking of Sunset Crater, here's another amazing view. Here we go. Welcome to O'Leary Lookout, elevation 8,916 feet, operating hours 08/16/30. Not too bad of a gig. I'm going to catch my breath for a second. Another fun thing to do when you actually get up to the top, a lot of them will have summit registers, so it gives you a nice chance to go through, you know, contribute to the community of everyone else who loves hiking just as much as you do. Well, so much for that. Well, kind of bummed. I really wanted to climb the tower to get a better view for you guys, but this will have to do for now. So this is looking north out into the greater Colorado Plateau, into the Navajo and the Hopi reservations. And the view just goes for as far as you can see, you know, all the way until the horizon meets New Mexico, somewhere way, way, way out there. Same thing goes for the view out to the east in the Painted Desert and the rest of the San Francisco volcanic field and some of the younger cinder cones you see popping up through this gap. Of course, our favorite, San Francisco Peak, still holding it down to our west. And then if I take you guys over here, we'll get you a nice little view of everything to the south. I'm really, really thankful to be up here today. Despite coming through the Flagstaff area probably 3 or 4 times at this point, I've never actually stopped for a proper hike. So being here today with great weather, even if it was a little bit cold this morning, is just absolutely, absolutely amazing. And here we go looking south. So Sunset Crater still directly behind us, along with Flagstaff right behind the southern flank of San Francisco Peak. And y'all, it's sublime. It's gorgeous. Hopefully you enjoyed coming along for my little adventure today and listening to all my ramblings about volcanoes and such. You know, my friends and family will be the first ones to tell y'all that I love my geology. So being here in this absolutely gorgeous landscape, surrounded by volcanoes, surrounded by the Colorado Plateau, looking at the Grand Canyon way off in the distance, it's remarkable. So hopefully you learned something. Really enjoyed sharing this hike with you guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.